it's Tina from Vibrant Travel. Today, I want to talk to you about the 5 most frustrating mistakes when booking a flight. 1, booking the cheapest flight first thing. Don't do it. Let me tell you why. Many of the cheaper fares, like basic economy, have restrictions. You probably already know this, right? But let me tell you about all the restrictions that might come with this. First of all, and it does vary by airline, so keep that in mind. First of all, you may have to pay for checked bags, even if you use their credit card, okay? So if you're part of a program, basic economy, you may not be able to take advantage of checked bags. So keep that, and that can add up very quickly depending on how much you pack. You may not be able to have a carry-on bag. How frustrating is that? I need my carry-on. No sitting with friends or family because you can't pick your seats. You have to wait till you get there and then they'll assign you some seats. And I will tell you, while this, you can't imagine someone won't sit with their child. It happens. I had it happen where I had to change my seat. I didn't have to, but had to change because the family was separated. And they didn't even say thank you. So that hurt a little bit. Might be non-refundable. Keep that in mind, get that insurance. And it might not be changeable. So keep all of this in mind when you look at that cheapest flight. Now, it may be okay if none of these things are important to you, grab it, but wait till I get through all the way through 5, and I have 2 bonuses for you, but wait till we get through all 5 because there are some other things I want you to look for to make sure that this flight is the flight that you want. And I'll tell you a little bit about where you might save. So number 2, not considering the number of connections. Now, if you don't mind hopping on and off a plane all day, then again, the most legs, generally the cheapest price, but not always. You do have to look at the price. So check the number of legs, and even more important than the number of legs, make sure you are arriving and leaving out of the same airports. And let me tell you what I mean by this. I sell mostly Europe. So I book a lot in and out of Heathrow, right? So you're going to Paris, you're going to change in Heathrow. Make sure that when you arrive in Heathrow, you're leaving Heathrow and you're not leaving Gatwick, because Heathrow Gatwick is a common change of airport. And so you can do it. It's doable. Allow yourself 3 to 4 hours if you're going to do that, because don't forget, you're now leaving the airport and going to a new airport. So some airlines will check your bags through, others will not. It all depends on how you purchase the ticket. And that's a little more complex than I'm going to talk about today. But double check. It's super easy to miss that you're flying into one airport and out of another one. So always double check that. Okay, that was 2. Number 3, forgetting to check the arrival date and time. So you're taking a cruise, taking a tour. For some reason, you need to be somewhere at a certain date and time. Always check those things, because if you're on a cruise or a tour, the transfers are probably a set time. Now, if you booked a private transfer, that's one thing. But if you're booking a group transfer, they have set times. And you do not want to be either completely out of luck because you missed the transfer altogether, or sitting in an airport for 6 hours because you missed the first one and the other one isn't until the late afternoon, right? So always double check those times, and always check with the cruise line or the tour group to find out what time that transfer will be there, so that you know when you're booking all of this. So the right day let me tell you why this is really important. And this, again, is easy to miss. When you're flying to Europe, when you fly to Europe, you always fly overnight. It's always going to be the next day. Well, not always, but that's generally what you do. So when you're flying home, generally you're making up time, right? So you're flying home the same day you leave. At least you arrive that same day. Well, sometimes when you have multiple legs or when you have a long layover, that time clicks past 12 plus 1. Next thing you know, you're arriving the next morning. The price looks great, everything looks great, and uh-oh, you actually added a whole day onto your vacation. Now, your employer may not be okay with that. So anyway, always double check the dates and the times. Okay, so that was number 3. So number 4, forgetting about airport transit time. So layovers, right? Layover times are important for a few reasons. One, when you're traveling through Europe and you go to the EU, you're going to a new country, just to transit. All you're doing is you're going, as I mentioned earlier, Paris to Heathrow. Well, you're now in a new country. You have to go through passport control. You don't have to go through customs and all of that because you're just transiting. Most of the time, all of that is taken care of when at the first place you land in the US. Although some places like Dublin, you go through customs in Dublin and then you're good to go with respect to your bags and what have you. But really important to check the transit times because you're not just going to walk to your plane like you do domestically. What happens if the plane's late, right? And you have that 20-minute transit time? What happens if it's a giant airport and you have to get from terminal A to terminal D, right? So keep those things in mind. You can Google the airport maps, and you can also Google a lot of the information around how long it normally takes to get from A to B. So anyway, keep that in mind. Always recommend Googling the map of the airport to see what's going on there. So here's what I do. Everyone's a little different. I'll just tell you what I do. I try to allow 45 minutes to an hour on domestic flights. On international flights, I allow an hour and a half to 2 hours, depending on the size of the airport, or if airports are known, or airlines are known for delays. So here in the States, Newark's usually late. So if you're flying into Newark and out of Newark, keep in mind, you might need a little more time if you're doing that. So that was number 4. Now we're finally 5, not considering the timing when you buy a ticket and when you fly. So the most common question I get around air is what's the best time to buy my ticket? So it used to be buy it in advance, as far as you can, because you're going to get the best price. Well, all that stuff's out the window. So prices fluctuate like anything else, depending on how well things are selling. Okay, so right now, really the best time to get your air is, you're going to love this long stretch, between 6 months of travel, but not less than 2 to 3 weeks prior to travel. So 2 weeks from travel date, you're paying premium. That hasn't changed in a very long time, and it's not going to change anytime soon. However, you can change your seats within the closer you get to the flight leaving, and as they release those seats you have to pay for, sometimes you can get better seats. So that's just a little pro tip there. However, so 6 months to 2 to 3 weeks, that's when you want to buy your ticket. Use some of the alerts. They have the algorithm that tells you when they're about to, to raise prices and what have you. So those are good on the search engines, and we'll talk about that in a minute. So what day should you purchase? Okay, everyone's purchasing on the weekends, so it's not a good day to purchase. You want to try to purchase during the week. Used to be wait till midnight and purchase because everything gets released, but things don't work that way anymore. So just avoid the weekends when you're purchasing. Now, I will say, however, Once in a while, you can get good deals on a Sunday, but that's, if you want to sit there all day and wait. What day should you travel? Same thing applies. Everyone's traveling on the weekend. If you can travel during the week, you have a better chance of getting good prices. Now, the one thing I will, however, tell you is double check the destination airport. Find out what the busiest, and you can Google it, find out what the busiest time is for that airport or the slowest time for the airport. Because on the slowest day, you're likely to get not only better prices, but you're likely to get to the airport, through the airport faster. Like Aruba, go on a Wednesday. It's the slowest day in the airport. So little tip there, try to do that. Now, this is kind of a little messy, but if for hotels, if you stay on a Saturday, the hotels are a little cheaper. So if you want to get into the whole math of this, do a little comparison with, okay, am I staying on Saturday for one of those short trips, where you don't want to go during the week, you just want to wrap it around the weekend. Sometimes you can make that work. And it's cheaper when you stay on a Saturday at the hotel side. So the airport side, you can consider how all of that comes into play. So time of day. I don't know about you. I am not an early morning flight person. When I'm on vacation and I know I'm coming home and I'm going back to work, slightly different for me because I get to do this, but I really don't want to get on a plane at 5 a.m., which means I have to be at the airport at 3 a.m. But guess what? Between 4 and 5 a.m. tend to be the cheapest flights. So if you're an early riser, go for it. If not, try to be to the airport before 10, because the airport really starts picking up between 10 and say 4. So you don't want to get that early flight, but you want to try and stay there. One, because you're going to avoid a lot of those long lines at the airport, and two, you'll have a better chance at a good flight. But if you want the best and the cheapest, go for that early flight. So we've done all 5. So let me go over them real quick. Most frustrating, booking the cheapest flight first thing right off the bat, not considering the number of connections, forgetting to check the arrival date and time, forgetting about airport transit time, layover time, not considering the timing when you buy and when you fly. And my 2 bonus, search engines. Search engines are great, but not all airlines are in the search engine. So if you're not seeing the airline you like to fly, it's not that they don't have flights, it's that is probably not loaded in the system. So if you have a favorite, go direct to their site and see what they have as well. Use the alerts. Alerts are really good. So also note about using a travel advisor. TAs, travel advisors will look at all of this, of course, but the important piece is that not all travel advisors sell air only. So if you're calling a travel advisor and the only thing you want is air, you may or may not get help, only because many just don't sell air only. Some do. Most will sell air when you're buying a package from them, because they want it all to be put together and perfect for you, so you don't have to deal with one piece while they're dealing with the other piece. So you'll do that. Now, travel advisors do have an opportunity to get special pricing, especially with groups. Generally, special pricing would apply individually if you're flying to Europe. Domestically, we don't really get a whole lot unless it's a group, and then we can look at pricing and see if there's anything available. Europe, we usually have some luck there. Now, in closing, really important things that we talked about. Double check everything. Make sure you're looking. You have to be, it's tedious, but you have to do it. Don't jump at the first one. Do the math. Is that basic economy worth it if you have to pay for all those bags, right? And then I would love to hear from you about your tips on how to get a great flight. Just put it in the notes at the bottom. We would love it. And if you like what I'm doing, you can subscribe. And please like this if you thought I gave you helpful information. We'd love to have you over at Vibrant Travel as well. So stop by if you're looking for some help. I hope you have a wonderful flight next time, and I hope all this information was able to help you. Bye now.